expensive luxury segment cars. And the one to kick things off is a BMW i7. Hello and welcome to Pit Stop. The BMW i7, in simple words, is an electrified 7 Series. It's big, it's heavy, it's aesthetically very controversial, but it's bloody damn good. What makes me say that? Check this film out to see for yourself. Things at BMW are a bit strange. Some of their cars look good, but most, well, they look peculiar is the right word to define them. But beyond the aesthetics, when you start driving in the complex world of technology, BMW is really experimenting with and doing some phenomenal things. And the i7 is a great example of that. And today is our date with it. So let's see how much of it can we understand. Looks definitely matter a lot, and while I'm not one to press on about each curve and each crease in detail, there is no denying that the i7 has got a lot of presence on the road. That should not be confused with good looks. Presence and beauty are two very different things. Frankenstein's monster as well has immense presence, but it is not what you will call good looking. It is a similar case with the i7 or the 7 Series in general. The front is all sorts of weird with a huge and very ungainly grille, and then we of course have the split headlights, which is now becoming the norm, and then there are those crazy intakes. Everything just is very bizarre. And then at the rear, again, there is a lot going on with a lot of surface layering, and then you have those thin tail lamps. It's all just a bit too much and a bit too busy. The side is very basic, very straight slab-like look, but at the front and the rear, it's just, as I said, a bit too busy and does not look graceful, which a car of this kind really should. A big luxury barge should look stately and elegant, and the 7 does not. And you know why it does not? That's because of China. BMW executives have gone on record to say that they do about 40 to 45% of total sales in that country. And such designs are a result of studies that tell the manufacturers that Chinese people love such kind of a look. Overgrown nostrils, narrowed eyes, really? Anyway, it seems to be working for them and also the brands. But it is the cabin experience that this car is all about. Oh, you have to be really in this car to see what I mean. The EQS is fantastic with its hyper screen experience, but there is a greater sense of occasion in the i7. At least that's what my view is. The thick crystallized glass that runs across the width of the front just looks absolutely fantastic. It's like a huge piece of a beautiful chandelier. Then there is more crystal around. You have the door adjustment control over here, all done in crystal, the iDrive dial, the volume controller, and the rear armrest. And then the colors. I'm not very drawn to the ambient lighting. I think it's a gimmick for the most part, and some colors look quite hopeless. But in the i7, each color, whether bright green or dull pink, looks lovely and fills up the cabin with a beautiful and energetic vibe, which forms a great contrast with the relaxed and the laid-back calm of the seats. Right, so seats. Fantastic. The ones in the EQS, they felt a bit firm, I remember. The i7, it soaks you in, it consumes you, and the seats are heated and cooled. They massage you in many ways, and they're all done in beautiful upholstery. Plus, there is a slide-out footrest when you go into the lounge mode at the back towards the passenger side. The rear seats are also reclinable up to 42.5 degrees, and the door armrest doubles up as a control panel for almost everything, from the blinds to the seat adjustment and the massage function, infotainment, all those kind of things. There is luxury everywhere in this cabin. The way The different materials are used and laid out, the acoustic experience as well, because this is the i7 and the motors play a huge role in the experience. It's all very lovely. But the biggest draw, the biggest flaunt item, the biggest USP of the i7 is the theater screen. We've all seen headrest mounted screens and media units, but the way the i7 offers that experience is just mind-blowing. Thanks to a 31.3-inch ultra-wide screen that projects 8K resolution. It supports Amazon Fire TV ecosystem and has HDMI input as well if you choose to play anything from an external device. And the screen can also be adjusted for the most optimum viewing. So you have the choice of going 3 degrees on the tilt, and well, whatever suits, you can set the screen at that angle. Plus, there is a regular suite of connectivity with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, both wireless of course. Now, let's talk a bit about the drive experience. And right away, let's get this straight. This is not a bespoke all-electric platform. The Mercedes EQS, that is, the i7 is based on the 7 Series, but the ICE driveline, that has been replaced with batteries and motors and wires. There is a sense of serenity and calm about the i7. The EQS feels very contrasting to it, and that stems from the fact that the i7 is more an electrified 7 Series than an EQS chaser. I'm pretty sure the buyer profile overlap between the EQS and the i7 will be very, very small. One thing that I could instantly figure was how different the i7 and the EQS take their electric driving credentials. For example, in the EQS, there is a system through microphones and speakers which registers the low frequency external noises, road noise, wind noise, all that kind of stuff, and it plays an opposing frequency sound to cancel them out. And that lends the cabin immense quietness. The i7 is a bit, only very slightly though, louder by comparison. The tire noise and the general external resistance is more felt in the cabin. But that aside, there is nothing you can fault the i7 on. The ride is plush, yet it is suggestive, and it does not completely isolate you from the road surface, which is better in many ways, but it remains ever so plush on any road patches. The oscillations are nicely damped, and the air suspension makes a very strong statement every time you drive over some rude gaps. Different modes mean different driving character, plus the range also gets altered. So we tried the Sport very briefly, but because this car does not come with an in-car charger, we shifted and have been driving mostly in the conservative mode. But the moment you press on, the i7 leaps. You will definitely never feel wanting for power in this car at all. There is plenty on offer, even when you are in the most sedate of the driving modes. Shifting it through some bends is also not a synthetic experience, and it's good to see that the i7 still has a childlike excitement when it sees a flowing section of a road. The steering feels good, very well weighted as well, and the four-wheel traction and steering makes it a very nimble car to drive, especially considering the size and the weight of the i7. The load shifts are also not vomit-inducing, so in all, it's pretty damn good. The numbers. Now the i7 has a 101.7 kilowatt-hour battery that feeds a dual motor setup, which is good for about 400 kilowatt or 544 PS of power and 745 Newton meter. And that translates into a 0 to 100 time of about 4.7 seconds. And BMW claims that the i7 will go between, say, 590 to 625 kilometers on a WLTP cycle. When it comes to electric vehicles, charging is a big topic of concern. And when it comes to the i7, it can take up to 200 kilowatt of supply. So at full capacity, if you get a fast charger that is, which is capable of doing 200 kilowatt of supply, this thing can charge for a driving range of 100 kilometers in 6 minutes. But as is the case, there is hardly any chance that you will find a working 200 kilowatt charger in our country. Otherwise, with an 11 kilowatt wall box, this is going to charge up in about 8 or 9 hours. The i7 is not as feelsome an experience as the EQS is, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I think it's better for it. In a car of this kind, you seek opulence, quietness, and specialness. The i7 offers all of that, and then it adds a dose of drama in form of that insane theater screen. It retains all the typical 7 Series strong points, and it's reasonably decent fun to drive as well. The all-electric performance is pretty strong enough, and it is not going to leave you wanting. Just, if it looked better,